something, please.
I will be along with you. I love working with buyers. It's a challenge to work with buyers in this market.
And I do apologize for what we just had happen. So I can just hit my arrow and go up and down, right? Okay. So working with buyers is fun. I do enjoy it. I hope you do. Well, okay. You take them down and I'll talk about it.
Okay, so I do want to tell you that don't value yourself. Training in, come to these classes, learn all you can. And if you have a question, don't hesitate to call other people that have had, you know, if you've not worked with a land deal or you've got a buyer that's complicated, talk to other people. That's what we're here for. Okay, the next one. And so I do think that being an agent, we're professionals and we get paid to be professionals. So the first thing we're going to look at is the counseling the buyer. Be prepared for anything. Because they don't even know what they want to leave it, and they don't really even know what they qualify for. So the things that we can stretch here are working with, we're going to go over a couple of things, working with real estate, we'll go over some of the documents to deal with. We're going to take it all the way from the first time that we counsel with them, that we meet them, till we get to closing. So we're going to look at working with real estate agents, screening them, qualifying them, how to show houses, some of the scripts used with them, the buyer's agreement, setting expectations, fair housing, working with for sale by owners. Don't think just because you're working with a buyer, I'm going to deal with the owner. Because a lot of times your buyers will drive by something and they'll say, hey, I just seen a house for sale. Owner, well, please go ahead and encourage them to contact you and let you do the job that you're going to get paid for.
Excuse me,
The
Kathy.
first thing to look at
Kathy,
is working with real estate, so everybody can hear me.
Okay.
Kathy, the audio is not working properly.
Okay. Hang on.
Okay.
Sorry. We'll get this figured out.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's the audio. Okay, so we're gonna do it again.
Just tell me,
And then
Okay. So when do you approach the subject of working with a real estate agent? Learn to read people. If you're doing an open house and people come in, first of all, I want to make sure they're not working with another agent before I go any further with that. But this is a subject that you have to confront. I don't put it as, because this is not a contract, but it is something legally that you do have to do. But it is the first substantial contact. So it don't mean you have to throw your hands up and say, whoa, stop, hold on a minute, don't talk to me no more. I got to tell you about working with a real estate agent. That is not what that means. What that means is in the conversation that you're having with them, you need to explain to them. One of the things that you're going to find out is that people do not know, right there, right? People do not know what real estate agents do or what they actually do. So the how of working with the real estate agent brochure, give them a copy of it if you haven't. You know, we have the new forms that come out in July, which are a lot less complicated. Print you out one of those. Explain. You may only use the new form. Absolutely. Okay. So explain the duties of a real estate agent. And one of the things that people seem to have trouble with is explaining dual agent and dual agency. And so understand what that means. But if you want another Lantern agent to be able to show you a house, or look at one of their listings, or if you want to buy something, then you need to agency. You can do dual agency. So, but know your forms, understand what that means, determine the type of agency, that relationship that you will possess with the buyer. Let them understand. This is very important. Setting expectations right off the get-go is so important that you do. But why? Why do you have to do that? Well, first of all, it's because it's the law. You have to do that. And secondly, ignorance is no excuse. People need to know. They need to know what you're there for, how to help them. And before you can actually be a help, you need to understand what is going on. First of all, there is an express oral or written buyer agency agreement with the buyer. So I'm not hitting them up with all these forms all at one time, but I am explaining to them, what position I have, what position my agency has, or my firm, and how I can help them. And disclosure in writing to the prospective buyer that the broker will be working with the buyer as the seller sub-agent. Now, you don't have to get in technical terms. I explain it to them like this. I say, I represent Lantern Realty as a buyer's agent. There are Lantern houses that are listed out here under listing agents. If you don't want dual agency, then we can't look at anything that they've got out there. But if you want to, we can have dual agency. But a dual agent would mean that you would look at one of my listings and that I would represent both the seller and the buyer. Don't get too technical with them, but it is our responsibility to tell them what is going on. So the next thing that we're going to look at is screening a buyer. I honestly think that this is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Recently just took the Brian Buffini course. I encourage all of y'all to take that course if you have not. Very smart man, been in real estate a long time, and I learn a lot. And even seasoned agents, you can learn a lot from just following the things that he tells you. And he flat out tells you that when you're screening buyers, your most reliable buyer, your buyer that's going to be most confident in who you are as an agent are the ones that come from referrals, from people that you've helped in previously of that. But that's not always going to happen for everybody. I do phone duty quite often, and I get quite a few people, but learn to ask the right questions to get the right answers. Know the time frame, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but it's an important step in getting an idea of what type of buyer you're working with. You're going to have investors. You're going to have second home buyers. Why is that important? Because the lending side of it is a cash deal. Are they going to have to borrow money? I mean, there's all kinds of questions that you're going to have to ask them. And one of the things that I really think is a good tool is to make yourself a questionnaire, either something that you get in your mind that you can set up, that you can ask them ahead of time, even on the phone. I've never met a person, I'm talking to them on the phone, they're giving me clues, if I'm paying attention to what those clues are, to what they intend on doing with it. I inherited some money. My grandma passed away. Well, okay, so your grandma passed away and you inherited some money. Does that mean you're going to have to sell something also to buy something? Always be listening to clues, and be mindful not to spend all your energy on the ones that are not so hot when it's hot is knocking on the door. And honestly, you're going to have that. I have clients now that are buyers that I try to contact once a week to find out, I let them know what's out there. They know what they want, ain't going to be out there for a while because it's a unicorn. They know that, and they're okay with that. But I do try to stay in contact with them because things could change. So rate your buyer. One of the things, as we learned in the Brian Buffini, is I do it this way, which I had done it this way, but I encourage you to make sure you've got a CMA set up to where you can keep up with who your buyers are, what their needs are, how willing they are to purchase. Recently just closed on a buyer that back in February could not qualify to buy a house. They didn't have no credit because they'd never really had any credit. First time home buyers in their late 60s. Actually worked with Terry Whitesell. He said he's got a couple credit cards, get her on those credit cards, spend a little bit of money, pay it off, and see if you can't get some credit established for her. Well, what we done is wound up getting better credit for her than we had for him. But they just moved into their house Labor Day weekend and ecstatic that they actually own their own home, had rented for 45 years. So know who they are, categorize them. You're going to have people that are going to call you that's like, you know, I'm thinking maybe next year or so when the market slows down. Well, the market's not going to slow down, but go ahead, think that way. We might sell mine, but right now I'm looking to see what I can buy. One of the things you need to tell your clients right now for sure is if you're in a hurry to buy something, the first things we look at, we may not get unless there's some things already taking place. So rate your buyer. You'll be able to by listening to them, by knowing what the clues that they're giving you. And if not, then make yourself a list. So what makes a hot buyer? Well, what makes a hot buyer, first of all, is they're not working with another agent. I always ask people that when I don't know them. Have you already talked to another agent? Well, there's a difference there. There's difference in talking to another agent and actually working with another agent. And I've even had people say, well, did I sign anything with you? Have I signed anything with you? Because that's what that other agent asked me. Have you already signed something with somebody else? This is what I tell them. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a loyal person. I want you to be loyal to me because I am gonna do a service for you. You know, if you're gonna jump around to agents because you haven't signed anything, I would go ahead, that's a red flag for me. That I might be taking them in, taking my time, my money to buy gas, and money's time. Time is money. So I might be doing that and they've already got somebody else they want to do that for them. You know, so ask them, where do they stand with that? What's their price point in relation to the pre-approval, the location? And then I usually ask people to go ahead before we start looking, before I go ahead and put them on an MLS search. What are some of the wants, some of the needs, and some things you just can't live with, or things you can't live without? You'll be surprised. People can live without a lot more than things they can't live with. You know, a lot of people say, I can't live with bugs. Some people say, I can't live with nosy neighbors. I can't live with a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. Okay, well, that's your preference. So let's see what we can find out. And I encourage people, go drive around a neighborhood if you think that's the neighborhood for you, to see how many kids are there, or how many older people are there, or how many dogs are in the neighborhood. But go to work, set them up on an MLS search, call them weekly. And when they give you everything they need, or they give you a timeline, I got to hurry up, I got to do this, then work hard and diligent to give them what they stand in need of. The next one is they're getting hot. Again, I want to know if they've been working with another agent. I have had on phone duty people call me and say, can you help me? Well, I don't know. What are you looking for? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. We had an agent to take us somewhere and look for something, but they flat out told us that we didn't meet the criteria for that neighborhood and we don't want them to represent us. Okay, so what are you looking for? Well, it just so happened that they were a motorcycle gang. Maybe they didn't fit in every neighborhood, but that agent shouldn't have said that to them. You know, he should have, I mean, be tactful. You are a professional. So make sure they're not working with anybody else. Again, have they been in contact with the lender? If not, help them with that. Ask questions. One of the hardest things, and I know some of y'all are on here know me, one of the hardest things I have to do is to listen. I like to talk, but I have a hard time listening. But as a real estate agent, that is part of my job, to listen, to ask the right questions. You know, do they need to sell their current home? What's your credit history? Are you married? You think people come to you that say they're married, they might not be married. That has happened. How long have you been looking, and how soon do you want to move in? Again, today's market has changed a lot to the questions that I ask people. And then I try to forewarn them and try to get them to see that you can't wait until something's at an open house, if it's been on coming soon for a week, and it's a hot area, to think you're going to get that day and make an offer and it be the only one. That just doesn't happen in today's market. So set your expectations, and we're going to go over some more of that. But the next one is not so hot. You know those that we're talking about. You know, they're thinking about it. Or I've had people say, I just really like to go look at houses, but I can't get in some of them without you taking me. You know, I was thinking about remodeling mine, and I just want you to go show me a few things. You know, ask questions. Know the same thing as hot or getting hot, but find out exactly what is holding them back. As I said, the couple that I talked to in February had no idea. I spent 4 hours with them explaining the process, telling them what had to happen. They hadn't even found out what their credit score was or if they had credit. So, but they were an investment time for me that paid off in the long run. Now, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 7 months. You think that's not a long time, but it is a long time when the market's moving in a matter of 5 to 10 days. So know what they want, know what's holding them back, and are they serious about it? You know, I also had something happen this year that I try to forewarn people is I sold a house for my sister, and we didn't have a house for her to move into yet. So that is something that you need to be aware of too. You know, are they going to be able to get into a house? Or if they buy a house, are they going to have their house on the contingency that they sell their house? There's all kinds of questions that you're going to want to ask. And again, I encourage you to, if you don't know what to ask, listen to somebody. Listen to what they're saying to their clients. My husband, as most of y'all know, pastors a small church, and one of the things he's told people before is there's times that I've knelt down beside people to hear them pray. Why? Because I want to hear what they're saying. You know, are they praying for me? Are they, I want to hear what they're saying. He's, as a pastor, he wants to make sure he's able to help them and give them their needs, you know. And not only that, but sometimes it's encouraging to hear what other people ask people. You know, I'm very talkative. I'm very nosy. So I ask things sometimes that you might not ask. I've been showing some lake property, and I ask, after spending about 6 hours one Saturday looking for lake property, what are you looking for? Do you want it to be flat? How much water do you want? Are you looking for it to fish on? Are you looking for a pier? What it come down to is they wanted the view. They wanted the view, and they wanted, when the weather's good, to be able to get out on the water. But they wanted a certain kind of water. So those were things that I don't think they had even thought about. But know who they are. Am I going to tell you that the not so hot are not going to be good clients? They are going to be good clients, but they might take a little bit more work. But as you know, as real estate agents, sometimes we get busy and we're not able to stay in touch with these people. Again, one of the things that I really enjoyed about doing the Brian Buffini is learning how to take my time and to classify these people and still have time for them, still make sure I send them mailers, still make sure that they know that I am still there for them. So then we want to get to qualifying your buyer. Hopefully, most people understand and know what the importance is in qualifying a buyer and what a pre-qualified or a pre-approved is. What's the difference? How do the clients prepare for it? And what is the lender relationship? What are the different avenues that people will use? I've had quite a few here lately to ask, if I pay part cash, will they owner finance the rest? Well, sometimes they will, but you need to know that. So what's the difference in pre-qualified and pre-approved? When you're pre-qualified, they've had a basic review of a credit by a lender. In other words, they might have called and said, hey, this is our income, this is our bills, this is what I think our credit score is. What do you think we could get? Well, and a lot of times that's all that is information. There's no documentation that's been sent in, or even online. You can go online, you fill out the application, but you're not showing any proof of funds. A lot of times your credit cards will ask you, has anything changed? What's your income? Where they're not asking you to send your IRS paperwork in to show your income. They're asking you to tell them. And so that's what a lot of times being pre-qualified is is you just calling and saying, this is what we think we can do. This is what we've got. The importance of being pre-approved, though, in today's market is so important that you don't even realize it until you get out there and they find the one they want. That's it. And you're going to put an offer on it. But wait a minute. They want a pre-approval. Well, yes, they're asking for pre-approvals and not pre-qualifieds. They're asking for documentation to show, yes, you can afford this. Why? Because they know that there's people out there that have cash or other ways that they might choose them over them. So I do encourage all of my clients, when I talk to them over the phone, if they have not got pre-approved, to do that. That means that an application's been submitted. Now, that also means that they might have to pay for that. Sometimes it's $50, sometimes it's $100 to submit a mortgage application. The lenders have reviewed some of the documentation. They know exactly what they can afford. They know what they're going to have to pay down, and the interest rates, they're locked into them. See, that benefits them by getting locked into that rate, because we know the rate's changing every day. So know the difference. Talk to your lenders. I encourage that tremendously. Pre-qualification, pre-approval. Again, this is just another thing to show you what has been done and what hasn't been done. And so these are actually questions you can ask them when they say, oh, we're already pre-approved. Have you, and you can say this, well, do you know how much of a down payment you're going to be required to make? Or have you talked to a lender already and give them any, documentation? Have you had to fill out an application with them? And they're, no, I just called on the phone and give them my basics. So sometimes they don't know the difference, but it is important that we learn the difference and we know the difference. And so then we go on to prepare the client. Now, when I get to this place, I do have a buyer's agreement filled out. That is something that I think we need before I start getting in a car and going and showing houses. I need to know, are you going to be, let me do my job for you. Let me be a loyal servant to you. So preparing your clients, you discuss the mortgage process. It also covers, what lender. The reason that's important is, as you know, the VA is at least 40 to 45 days, no less than 40 days. Are you going to close on a VA loan? Now, Terry tells me that he can do it in about 25, but know that he might not can do it for everybody. How long is it going to take you now to get inspections to get that? Because now we're running into everybody needs everybody. Are you going to be able to get the people that you need in there to take care of this? Discuss unexpected events and be sure the client knows the importance of communication of any change. Well, what could happen? Well, anything could happen. We just come through COVID. We still have things that's happening too. Actually know someone right now that has a listing that their client's in the hospital. Well, they can't get paperwork to him to make any changes or even to get things signed. So COVID has been, a hindrance for us. Other things can happen. The death of a loved one, you find out you're pregnant, you decide, well, maybe I don't want to spend that much money. So discuss unexpected events and talk to them about it. I mean, you don't have to be, I did say I was nosy, but you don't have to be so nosy that you know all their business, but do explain to them that this is a life-changing event for them and you want it to be a memorable and a good experience. And so all the communication that you can have with them to make sure it's a good experience is very important. Discuss the importance of keeping your finances clean. Don't go out and say, oh my goodness, I'm going to buy me a new car. I'm going to go ahead and buy all the furniture that I need for the house. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to have money left. I think I'll go ahead and get me a boat because I'm going to be on the water. Tell them to wait, just to be patient and to wait. Are they going to have extra money? If they're selling their home, they might, but they might need that for something else that might come up unexpected. So, it's not that long a process. Prepare them for that. Expectation of something is far better than surprise of something. So then we're going to make sure that contact the loan officer, confirm protocols for communication. They are a very, very, very helpful tool. I call, and I've had to do this recently, is change lenders for somebody. The lender told them, no, I know that we pre-approved you for this amount, but that's on the condition that you do this, this, and this. And they're like, but we can't get first-time home buyer. We're first-time home buyer. Why can't we? Well, because you've got money put up, and that's really not what that's for. You know, that's for people that don't have money put up for the down payment. Well, no, we still qualify for the down payment of, you know, assistance. Why can't we get it? Personally, I think it was because the lender didn't want to go that route. So we contacted another lender and they said, oh no, we can get that for them. You know, they might have money, but they're putting that down, you know, or it might be that, that yes, they can qualify for a VA loan, but this house that they're wanting to buy, maybe the permits weren't right on the added on sunroom they put. And, you know, VA is funny about stuff like that. So maybe we need to go with conventional, or maybe we need to go, it's in USDA, let's do USDA. Know what your lenders can do and talk to them about it. They are a very big asset. That's why they help us a lot with education. In fact, Fairway sponsored the Brian Buffini for us. You know who your lenders are. We live in a day and time, and I tell people this a lot, that, I mean, my mom and dad, they went to sit down with the bank manager. They went everything with the bank manager and told them what they could do. And then they told the real estate agent what they could do. And we kind of got left out of that. Now the communication as a good buyer's agent should also be that we can help them with lender problems or lender information. Anything that you can help them with. I had somebody tell me yesterday, they said, well, do you know somebody that can do a little bit of everything? Well, I should. That's my business, is helping people to, and I'm a country girl. So yeah, sometimes I do know somebody that can do a little bit of everything. So we're going to get to the buyer's agreement, when, where, and why. And I hope I'm not going too fast for you guys, but I wanted to kind of, I know we kept you on the other a little ways, so I'll be quick. This will come to you in the video. You can review it and call me. I'll give you my number. Call me if you have any questions. Always be prepared with the agreement in hand. When I go meet clients for the first time, I'm always taking that. Know what you're going to take with you. Make sure you got working with real estate agent. Make sure you got this buyer's agreement. They might be ready to sign it right then. And it may be that they don't like paperwork and they're like, oh, can't you send it to me and let me sign it? Absolutely, I sure can. Let's just go over a few details before I fill it out to send it to you. Always be prepared with that in hand. Don't hesitate to approach the subject. People make it tricky. I don't think it is tricky, but people make it tricky. But know your documentation, even though it is an oral agreement. And I would tell them that, yes, we do have an oral agreement, but you know, North Carolina requires me to have certain forms filled out. My firm requires me to have these documentations filled out. And so it's just easier if we go ahead and go over everything so you don't have any surprises, because expectation is always, you know, that you're heads up with everything. Make sure the client has a copy to take home and review. So again, know what's in your folder to give them. Even if I don't have them fill it out and they want to do dot loop, I'm going to give them a copy of it so that they've got it to look at. But establish your role and your responsibilities, because I promise you, and I've got buyers like this and have had buyers like this, they would think you're their best friend and you are at their beck and call no matter what time of day, no matter what hour of the day, and you don't have a family, all you've got's them. So with the buyer's agreement, dot loop's a great resource. Allows clients to view and sign, immediate, accessible, but in person. And if you want to highlight them, highlight them. The bullet points are the major parts of the agreement to explain. Make sure they receive a signed copy for their records. Now, one of the things that we talked about a few years ago, and actually I think we just talked about it last year, is we really would like the fact that when you get people and you're taking a lot of time to show them things, that maybe there's a surcharge in there for you to charge them a flat fee to do that. Well, there is. I don't know anybody that does it because we don't get paid to closing pretty much. but let them know that that is something that there may be people that will charge them to do. A few years back, I sold a mobile home, and the agent that brought them, he said, I always charge $500 up front if it's less than $100,000. And then at closing, I will give them reimbursement for that money. But at least if they back out or don't buy anything, I've got, my gas out of it. And I said, well, that's kind of lame. I think everybody might not think that, but let them know what service you are doing for them, because, faithfulness is important. If I'm going to be faithful and work hard for them, I want them to be faithful and use me. So why is it important to have these documents? Why is it important for them to know that? Because you're setting your expectations and the duties, the type of agency, the compensations. Let them know, I appreciate you as a buyer, but the seller's the one paying me. But when we go look at for sale by owners, those are terms we have to negotiate and we have to work out. Have I took buyers to for sale by owners? I have. But I always, when I call and make that appointment, I ask them, are you willing to pay my commission? And if they're not, are you willing to add that to the sale price so that my commission can come out of that? And always make sure your buyer's aware of that. Always make sure that you're aware. They're not wanting to pay my compensation, so you can pay it, and we'll just add it. They'll add it to the price of the home. So it's a win-win for both of us. I'm going to get you a good deal, and I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do the paperwork. I'm going to get the attorney. I'm going to do the inspections, but I want to get paid for it. So understand the responsibility of the confidentiality, the loyalty, and the negotiations, and be prepared to make an offer. So having a signed buyer's agreement means that you can work on their behalf. As you know, this market is fast-paced, and when you've got coming soons, I've just had buyers to say this, I don't understand all these houses are coming soon. The day they hit the market, they go under contract. And I said, well, it's because people are making offers before they hit the market live. They're doing it sight unseen. You mean you can do that? Yes, you can do that. We didn't know that. We weren't told that. So know how you can help them, but you can't do that for them if you don't have a buyer's agreement. Review the offer to purchase with them, kind of let them know what they're looking at is what they're going to be asking for. And then the professional services disclosure. Why is that important? Because I trust NIP law and I use them, but I also want them to know that they're part of our office and that we are affiliated with them. But also in that professional services disclosure is on, I know inspectors for well, septic, house, I know roofers, but I know accountants. And if you want me to give you that information that I have, I'll be glad to, but if not, you need to sign off on it. Why is that important? Because it's important, if they didn't get a chimney inspection, that you at least offered them that professional service information. It's very important that you know how to do your job, importantly, for them. Things to remember, know your forms. Don't expect them to sign something they don't understand or you don't understand. As Melissa said, July, they changed forms on us. And if you look at that, some of those forms, they did change the wording. And I mean, check it out. We had 14 days that we could change the date of closing. We don't have that anymore. We only have 7, but know that again is important. Why is that important? Because of COVID, because of things happening. What if they don't sell their house? What if they've got a contingency? Anything can come up. Also, remember that some clients will be resistant to signing. Scripts are an important tool. When I first got into real estate, that was one of the things we had, scripts. I'm not a script type of person. I kind of say things in my own way. And some people like scripts to fall back on. If you're making phone calls and you're cold calling, you need to have some scripts so that you don't get sidetracked. As my daughter would say, I run squirrels every once in a while. So scripts are nice to have so that you stay focused on what is important. So keep in mind, your clients have signed the buyer's agreement. They do feel a sense of obligation to see the process through with you. Can they cancel at any time? They can. But also, and this one's very important, I never thought that I would do this, but I did do this year, is you have the ability to fire a client, and they also have the ability to fire you. And you say, why would you ever want to fire a client? Why? Well, I had a couple that they were dangerous to each other's health and to my mental health. And so it was just not a good working relationship for me to help them any longer, because they needed to decide what they wanted as a couple, whether they wanted to be married or not married or even be together before they got, I mean, you know, we're not marriage counselors, we're real estate agents. And also, I will tell you this, that there are some clients that it's easier to refer them to somebody that is like-minded, that's looking, that understands. For instance, and I will say this, I'm not familiar with the Asheville area. I'm not familiar with the mountains. Can I sell anywhere in North Carolina? I can. But I would probably refer that to someone else rather than me going, because when you're showing buyers, that's a long trip from Kannapolis to Asheville. But also, I don't know the area. You know, I don't know what is a up and coming area, but we do have agents that do. And it's better to get a referral fee than to not get anything at all. So absolutely, we have great Asheville agents. Yes. I just recently did a referral on a listing up in Clemens. And you say, well, why would you do that? Well, I was trying to represent them as buyers. I'm not from Clemens. I don't know what the market is up there. And if I focused, because we needed this to happen at the same time, if I focused on selling their home and going through that closing, I might not be as able to help them on the buying of the home and getting all that taken care of in the same time frame. And so it worked out great, because we've got great agents that work in that triad area too. So it is always, though, good practice, if you haven't helped your client to reach their goals by the end of the expiration date on that buyer's agreement, to reevaluate. Is it you? Is it them? Or is it the market? I will tell you that most of the time, if you've done all these things to get prepared up to this point, it may not be you. It may be that what they're looking for is a unicorn. Don't be afraid to tell them that, because they're out there. There's unicorns out there. I mean, I've got a guy that, oh my goodness, what he wants and what is available in the market he's looking for. Can it happen? It can, but has it happened? Not yet. But that doesn't mean it can't. And I use other tools to try to find that for him, you know, other than what the MLS offers to me. So again, scripts are an important tool that you should have in your tool belt. I don't encourage you to use them all the time. I encourage you to maybe learn with them or practice with them. Or, you know, one of the things that I think this is really funny, because my dad, he says, you must have learned that from one of those motivational speakers, is, well, you know, that's a really good question. And that is something that motivational speakers will tell you. That is a really good question, but no question's a dumb question. You know, it's a really good question. I don't know the answer, but I work with a great group of people that probably do know the answer, and I will find that out for you. Be honest with them. You know, I don't like to tell people I don't know how to do something, but there's things I don't know how to do. Am I going to try? I might, but stay on track with them. You are a buyer's agent and you've got training. I am fixing to do a class through Canopy to get my certification on a preferred buyer's agent. I think it's important that you understand the changes in the market. I think it's important that you understand your business. Our firm does not do that, thank goodness, but a lot of firms, when you start out with them, if you start out with a team, you are a buyer's agent only. So the first couple of years I was in real estate, that is what I did. I was a buyer's agent. But as a real estate agent, I feel like we should be able to help buyers or sellers, because a buyer most likely is going to be a seller at some time or another. So, but as a buyer's agent, I encourage you to get your education and to stay on track with your client. You want to make sure that you're focused on them. And one of the things, you want to set limits with them too. You know, as we go to show houses, and I think we're going to get to that screen in just a little bit, I mean, if you're planning the whole day with them, that's great. But if you've got appointments later that afternoon, tell them, I've got this time period. Let's go look at 3 to 5 houses. You know, That should give you a good idea of what you're looking for. These houses are going to go quick, you know, and I don't want to give you so much that it boggles your brain that, you know, and people will say, well, I just want to go look at it. I just want to see what that house would look like. Are you going to buy that house? No. And all it's going to do is boggle your mind. So make sure you stay focused on your client, their needs, their wants, and their desires, but also the fact that you are the professional. Keep them focused. Try to keep them focused. So practice scripts that are used that should come natural. Be sure to practice them so that you don't sound like a weird robot. I used to call my kids on the phone and I'd say, hey, how are you doing today? This is Kathy Hager. I'm with Lantern Realty, and I see that you might be interested in possibly buying a home. And I just wanted to kind of give you some information about who I am, see if I can help you. Now, that sounds weird to me to say that to you, and it was weird to say to my kids, but it's funny because they would ask some tough questions. But practice so that this flows out, so that it's not awkward, that you're not, you know, don't make it like that first date where you just don't know what to say and you just rattle off things, because I'm guilty of rattling. Scripts that should come natural should be what you want. Weird facts. And this was really interesting to me because it really made me realize when I started watching movies, so that's why they get paid the big bucks, because most actors don't actually memorize their scripts. They use it as a tool to guide them. That's why these great comedians come up with lines like Lucille Ball on the dime. She just pop it out. She just pop out them little comments. I've got comedians in my family that think they're actors. Professional. Remember, you are the professional. Make sure you sound that way. I mean, I do try to make my clients, because I want referrals and I do build relationships with them, but also I want them to know that I get paid. And I said this to a client this morning. We just put an offer in on something, and she said, well, I talked to my friend, and my friend said, and I said, is your friend a real estate agent? Does your friend live in this area? Do they know our market? And let me tell you what I do. Every Monday morning, I pull up the market report. Every Monday morning, Mike Shearer's team and other lenders send me information about the market, about lending, about what houses are coming up. We have team meetings. We do these Kindle classes. We educate ourselves so that we have the tools to help you. Let me be your real estate agent. Use those tools and find things that work for you. And don't be afraid to tell them. You know, you don't have to be snotty about it and say, look, I'm the professional here. I don't care what your friends say. I mean, I don't talk like that to people, and people don't respond like that. But I can say, let me do my job. Let me do what you trust me to do. Let me do what I told you I was going to do. You know, that's what I get paid for. So how to show houses. This is a little video tour, and I'm not going to go through it exactly, but he tells you to do your homework ahead of time. And I'll click to the next one right quick. But he tells you these things. Be prepared. How would you plan your route? Well, one of the neat things about MLS is it'll help you plan your route. If you go on there and you book these showings, it's got a little tool that you can click on. And if you don't know these things, Canopy educates us. They have classes all the time to help us to learn how to navigate through there. But there's software also that helps you on, I mean, I can take my maps on my phone. Thank goodness we have phones. Can you imagine what they had in the 80s and 90s? They didn't have what we have. Plan your route. That's like, go ahead. Yes. Showing Time has Smart Route. That's the name of it. Right. Okay. And it tells you what's best for you. That is great. Do you know how to use the Supra? And always make sure you're downloaded. Now, all you got to have is Bluetooth, and make sure your phone's charged. That's all you got to have to get in there. And if you have a problem with that, there's a number you can call, and they can give you a temporary pass that they'll pretty much open it to get the key for you. I don't know, somebody told me here recently they had a problem with the Supra, and they were able to do that. Know the neighborhood characteristics. Now, we've got to be careful. We can't redline people, you know, we can't do that. And you can't start saying, hey, this is a bad neighborhood, you don't want to be here. Or like my clients that said, the agent told them, y'all don't need to be in this neighborhood. This is not a neighborhood for you. Actually, what he said to them was, this is not a neighborhood that wants you, which was not good. Because guess what? They fired him and hired me. Expectations. Make sure they have expectations. And always, if you're only looking at 1 or 2 properties and you got hot clients, call the agent. Ask them if they've already got offers on the table. If they do, then that way, when you get there, you're able to say to them, if this is something that you're serious about, you really want, you need to go ahead and make an offer, because there's already offers on the table. And one of the things that I hear complained about all the time is, well, how long are they going to wait before they make a decision? Well, again, that's up to the listing agent, to the seller. But if you make a fair offer, and, you know, we can't control that. All we can do is give you the information and let you make an offer on it. But be prepared for that. Research the property, discuss the pros and cons with the client. You know, this might not be exactly what you're looking at. I can give you a perfect example. Just did this. I said, what are you looking for? We looked from 10 o'clock Saturday to 4:30 Saturday, from Lexington to Mount Gilead at Lake Properties. Even calling, going down the road saying, hey, can I schedule to see this house? Or, because you can call Showtime, by the way. If you can't text them on your phone, put them on your speed dial, call them and say, hey, I need to get in to see this. Can you get me an appointment? And they'll do that over the phone. So that's a good thing to know. But those houses were really out of her price range that we looked at the end of the day. Why were we looking at them? Well, because she realized, if I want this, I'm going to have to pay this. We made an offer on one yesterday that is a lot less, but she's getting a lot less house. So she needs to understand the pros and the cons with that. And then listen. Again, I tell you, that's one of the things I have a hard time doing. Know when just to listen. Give them a minute to process, you know. And sometimes they'll do more than process. They'll complain, they'll fuss. I really wanted that house. It just makes me so mad that those agents will take those offers and it's already under contract before I even have an opportunity. And those people that were coming in behind us, they weren't giving us our ample time, but we squeezed an appointment in. So, you know, I got you in the house. At least I know, but I didn't get to make an offer because I understand. I do. And I feel your pain. Be humble with them if you can, because once they get it out, it's good. And then something that is very, very, very important is safety. Have a plan, stick to it. Don't be afraid to say no if you feel weird. Safety is for you and your client, and not everyone has good intentions. Now, I am a Second Amendment card carrier, I believe, and conceal carry. Everybody does not. Do what makes you comfortable. One of the things that you can do is always make sure somebody knows where you're going. Okay. Some people have, my daughter has it on her phone. She knows where her children are at all times because she tracks their phones. You know, have somebody that can do that for you if you need to, or your husband do that, or call a friend, or call somebody to go with you. They don't have to be a real estate agent to ride in the vehicle with you to make sure you're safe, or get yourself some pepper spray. Don't put yourself in predicaments. There were 4 people in the past 10 years killed in Rowan County alone, real estate agents, because they did not follow safety protocol. And if you have not looked at this or have not talked to anybody, they have a form here in the office that is good to fill out, because it gives your car make and model, it gives your contact number. So if somebody calls and says, hey, I'm showing this house and there's a vehicle here. Is it one of your agents' vehicles that's here? Because nobody's in the house and things are kind of weird. They can check and say, oh my goodness, she was showing this house. We'll get in touch with somebody to make sure everything's okay. Make sure you have things set up, because everybody does not have good intentions. They really don't. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I haven't used it myself yet. I haven't downloaded it, but I have been thinking about getting my seal. But I don't know how that. Do your clients ever see it in like?
No, they do not see it.
Okay.
I will give you an example. I showed a piece of property in Anson County, and truly, That was a red flag. I should have known better. I showed it to some people, was getting ready to leave, and an older man and woman pulled up and said, we've been looking at this property. You know, we've not been talking to any real estate agents, saying, would you show it to us? Normally, no, don't do that. That is not a good thing. You know, I felt comfortable. Couple reasons I was carrying. Second reason was they were older couple. I felt like I could outrun him. Don't always do that though. I mean, that was not safe. Afterwards, I got rebuked by my husband, but we walked to the back of the house. She didn't get out of the vehicle, which I didn't go in the house and show them. I don't go in basements, and I don't go up the steps in front of anybody. So there's a couple things, pay attention to that. But I walked out behind the house, and he looked at me and he said, are you carrying? And I said, is that a problem? And he said, no, but it just dawned on me. Why would a woman show a man some land and not have a gun to shoot him with if she needed to? And he said, not that you need to, but I should not have. That was weird. Well, I think because he said when they pulled up, his wife said to him, she probably won't show it to you because it's just her. She's by herself. Right. And so, fortunately, I was able to make them my clients and was able to help them on down the road, but don't ever pull it out unless you intend on using it though. Don't ever just show it to them. Don't do that. They don't need to know. That's why you have a permit for a concealed carry. It's for your protection. You don't want somebody taking it away from you. Setting expectations. This is very, very, very important. And I won't be but a few more minutes, guys. So be honest with your duties, be attentive, be on time, set limits, be professional, and be honest. If you don't know, tell them you'll find out. Let them know that they have responsibility also to be honest, to communicate, be faithful, do their part, and be courteous. If they don't give you all the tools to work with, you can help them, and be honest with them about that. And then set goals. So we know you're not, we know that the house you're looking for is in a price range that these houses are going quick in an area that's very hot. So if I send you something that morning as it's coming soon, go ahead and talk about it. Let's not wait till the day that it's going to come on the market to say, you know, I thought about it. I might want to see it next week. It's not going to wait. Work through the process effectively, be realistic, and build a relationship. I promise you. And I've had some really good ones that went really smooth. I had a lady, this is no lie, she was buying a lot up at High Rock. She had cash. We made an offer above asking. We got the contract. It's cash. We'll close in 2 weeks. How can that be hard? We couldn't get clear title for 3 years, but I closed on it. But I consistently contacted her and said, look, I'm sorry. This was not something, they should have never put it on the market, but they did. And when they did, they accepted our contract and they still wanted to sell it to us. They just had to get that cleared up. It was something they weren't prepared for. So work with them. But what I'm saying is there's some that are really quick and really easy. I promise you it's always going to be rewarding. Fair housing. Are you in compliance? This is very important as a buyer's agent. Why is it important? I'm sorry, I'm hitting the wrong here. I'm looking at that, not down here. Okay. Fair Housing Act is a law created to help limit discriminatory practices related to landlords, tenants, and housing. Okay, we live in a world that is woke, and I didn't even know what that meant until woke. Stay compliant. Be careful what you say. Be mindful what you say, because there are still people in this world that have prejudice, and you don't want to be that person. You can't be that person. There are not only ethic rules and laws, but there is also this that they can call. And I'm going to tell you something, that is a big deal to stay in compliant. If you feel like that you're nervous about it, contact your broker in charge. Make sure that somebody's aware of any circumstance that might have happened, but treat everyone the same. Look, You might not want to go and sit down and have supper with them. You might not take a vacation with them, but everybody has the right to buy a home. It does not matter who they are. They all have a right to buy a home. And there's no room in this world for prejudice. It needs to stop. And we don't have to have a woke community to tell us that. But we also live in a world that everybody's got cell phones. Don't think that you're going to do something or say something and it's not going to get unnoticed, because if you put it on social media, it'll get noticed. And don't think that people won't Facebook stalk you. I Facebook stalk people. So don't think that they won't. I even check out potential clients sometimes. Be careful with your words. That old saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you, is a lie. They will hurt, and they hurt people. So the clients that I met back in February that we just got them in a house, I could have said to them, what, are you serious? You don't have any credit? How can anybody be in their 60s and not have credit? I did not say that to them. I said, well, you know, I'm proud of you. A lot of times people that don't have credit cards don't have credit, and you need to be aware that if you've got a low credit score, it might not always be because you've got bad credit. Don't be stigmatized by that, and don't stigmatize people because of that. Also, don't make people feel like that they don't deserve to have what, if they've got the money to pay for it or got the credit to pay for it, then they should have it. They should have it. And then for sale by owners, please always tell your buyers that contact me first. Let me be there for you like I'm supposed to be. Why is that important? Well, they say, well, wait a minute. What if I go to them and they just sell it directly to me? Yeah, but you're calling me asking me if I can get the paperwork for you. And you're calling me and asking me, do I need an attorney? Do you have an attorney I could use? Do you have anybody that I could get to do? If you're going to have to call me to do that, let me do my job and let me do the work. Again, I usually call them and say, I have a client that, give me your number. They're wanting to look at your property. What are you asking for it? And are you willing to pay my buyer's commission on that? And if they say, well, no, you know, your client can pay you. Okay. And that does happen. And they do that, you know, but make sure your client is aware that, excuse me, they're going to pay, that the money to pay me is coming from you. And so again, you're just adding it to the loan most of the time, which is exactly what you're doing when you're, you know, they're using you and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, then if you want to deal directly with them, you know, that's fine. But again, if you're going to call me, if I'm going to schedule the appointment, I should get paid for it. Now, if I'm only representing you, I might could do a reduced rate, you know, if I'm not having to deal with another agent. But guess what? I'm actually doing more work because I'm not dealing with another agent, because I'm dealing with an individual that don't know the law, don't know the rules, don't know the forms. And I'm having to go explain the forms to them to get them to sell them. I mean, to sign them. So know your value, you know, again, know your value. And then I'm going to tell you, sometimes I have had for sale by owners to let me list their property. Again, there's one of our new agents that she called to for sale by owners. She got one of them.
Well, there's one of them I think, and I've actually tried so long. I'm like,
Just make sure that when you go meet with them, that you're honest with them and don't tell them you got a buyer that's interested. Right. But because that'll get you in trouble. Okay, guys, I'm about to finish up. I appreciate your time. So who are you going to call? I encourage you, put them in your phone because I keep my phone with me more than I keep a notepad with me. But who are you going to call? Make sure you got a broker in charge. Make sure you got Melissa's number if you need it. Make sure you got the commission's number if you need it. But put other people in the Lantern family that you might could call. I mean, I call Alicia for things. We work together on the deal, but I still call her and ask for questions and things. But please do remember, you are a professional and people trust you. And it is an honor and very rewarding to help someone to achieve their home ownership. Know your business and be the best buyer's agents out there. And I will tell you this, that a lot of times people feel like that it's just me. I'm an independent, you know, I represent myself, but you don't know how many people I'll meet and they'll say, hey, I know somebody that works with y'all or works with you. If you put that Lantern badge on and you say that you're an agent with Lantern Realty, you represent all Lantern agents. And so I say that because I have dealt with some buyer's agents lately that really need their ethics checked. And they really need their firm to be aware that they talk to other agents that way. Because I'm gonna tell you something, other agents can be your enemy or your friend. So be a good buyer's agent and represent in the best way that you can. Because I promise you that if you'll do a good job for a client, they will be able to in the future and have more buyers. Don't get discouraged with them. I hope that was helpful, guys. Thank you.
This was so good. A lot of information.
Did anybody have any questions before they jump off? All right, thank you guys, and thank you for your patience while we worked out our technical issues.
Absolutely. Call me if you need a question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.